And hello, everybody. It is Mike Swale here with my good friend Whitney Cooley, and I have a quick confession. So not that you're tracking it this closely, but we usually do this investment seminar on Facebook Live the last week of every month. But the last week of April was kind of busy for us, wasn't it?
It was so busy.
It was so busy. So we were both in Vegas separately, but at the same time, I was there getting older. And Whitney, what were you doing there?
I was there for a G&E Scenic Sotheby's convention where all of us top agents from all over the place, because Sotheby's is international, met and networked together to kind of create and talk, and it was great.
That's awesome. Sotheby's, great real estate company. I'm lucky enough to have friends in several markets, all with Sotheby's, but a lot of them couldn't make it to the convention, and I know they were disappointed, especially because it was in Vegas, and I'm sure some of them are watching now, so I'll get crap for this later. But anyway, we are here, and I'm excited about this one because we're here talking about something that I've been trying to learn about for a long time, and that Whitney, I've noticed from afar, has gotten really good at, and that is short-term rentals. And we can talk about short-term rentals all over the country. As many of you know, I just bought a property that I'm turning into an Airbnb property in St. Louis, and I've got another one on the way. She's due on June 1st. And that is great, but there is no better place to talk about it than in a vacation area as beautiful as the Emerald Coast. So that leads us to Whitney. Whitney is one of our best partners in that area. So Whitney, why don't you just take a step back, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes. So as you said before, I'm Whitney Cooley, and I'm with Scenic Sotheby's International Realty. And I'm a realtor here on the Emerald Coast. I have grown up in this area, so this is home. You'll never see me leaving. We have some of the most beautiful beaches. I may be biased, but some of the most beautiful beaches, I think, in the world. We have sugar white sand and some of the most crystal clear water you'll ever see. But we don't only have the Gulf, we also have the bay, and where the bay meets the Gulf. And then we also have lakes as well. So
And the bayou.
And the bayou and the beautiful bayou. So we have just about everything that you can think of. And we are definitely a vacation destination. So I do a lot, and I deal a lot with buyers looking for second homes and investment properties. And I know we're going to dive into some really great ones that are listed currently right now.
Got some fun ones. Yeah.
We've got some good ones. So I don't know if you want to take it away, or you want me to start with where we're going.
Well, I think we need to start by giving Joel some shit, because Joel Farrell, my business partner and Whitney's good friend as well, is supposed to be on this call with us. And as is common in Joel and I's friendship, I don't know where he is, but Joel owns a property in Florida as well. And he uses that as a short-term rental. So he's got a unique experience with that as well. And he knows that I joke all the time that the Destin area is South St. Louis, right? Because there's a South St. Louis. And there's such a direct connection between the St. Louis market specifically, really the entire Midwest though, right? And that Florida coast up there. What is it? You mentioned the white sand, but what is it about that area that just attracts people from the Midwest to buy second homes there and move there?
So of course, there is a direct flight from St. Louis to here. So we are a small town, so direct flights are not that common. Okay, so St. Louis is one, Nashville is another, Atlanta. We're a drivable destination as well. So a lot of our sister states, because we're in the northern panhandle, it's actually closer and shorter to get to here from New Orleans than it is to get to here to go to South Florida, right? South Florida is a lot further. So that helps. But I would say St. Louis is because there is a direct flight here, and it's not too bad. So anybody wants to come see us, just a short trip. So
that's a good distinction. We are on the northern part of the state. We're not talking about Miami. We're not talking about Tampa, Naples, none of that. We're talking about the Emerald Coast, which is on the Gulf of Mexico. And I think technically I heard somebody say it's literally the closest tropical beach from St. Louis that you could possibly get to. It's closer than anywhere else. So that's, and it's in the same time zone, which a lot of people, matters if you're in the Midwest. It's in the central.
Yeah, we're in central time zone. So it is weird, but we are in central time zone. It doesn't change till you get a little more east in Florida. But it's because of where we're located. We're right in the heart, in the middle of the panhandle. And it's a little gem, our little cove.
And it feels like everybody from St. Louis either goes there, regularly, moves there at some point. Their parents have snowbirded down there. Like it really does feel like there's a connection, which is why I'm so excited about this episode. But also talking specifically about short-term rentals. For Joel and I, short-term rentals really entered our vernacular when we had people that were wanting to buy second homes for themselves and couldn't afford it. And when we discovered short-term rentals, for us, it was a way like, well, what if you could have a second home that pays you? Do you have a lot of clients that are using it for that, or are most of your clients strictly business?
No, I actually have a solid mix. A lot of mine that are buying it are wanting to use it themselves. I mean, anybody that comes and sees it for the first time in our area, they're like hooked and they want to come back and stay in it themselves as well. So a lot of them do use it for themselves. Now they do tend to stay away during our busy seasons because that's when they make all their money. And if you're wondering, our busy season is a little bit different than South Florida. Our busy season is basically March to September. That is where most of your money will be made.
That's half the year though. That's a solid.
It's a solid stretch because we basically get the spring break in the summer. And then obviously into like after Labor Day. And then we will get some October fall break times, but for the most part, that's our season. And I will tell everybody though, my favorite time of the year here is end of September. It is the hidden gem because not many people come at that time.
Is that what they call shoulder season?
It is. It's in between basically the end of summer and fall break. So the beaches are quiet, but the water is still warm. That's the key.
Nothing better than a warm, quiet beach.
And it's not as hot outside. So we're like a nice 70 at night with 80 during the day. So it's beautiful in September.
I'll take it. All right. So we've learned a couple things. We've learned what draws people to that area, and I think that's huge. We've learned that short-term rentals could be a good way to profit off of your own vacation home. But the premise of our investment seminars that I've been doing has been really real listings, properties that people can really consider maybe is right for them today, real numbers, so they can see really what's it going to cost and what's my revenue going to be, and real opportunity. And as I understand it, you have 4 to show us today, which is more than we've ever tried to squeeze into this show. So
we're going to squeeze it. We're going to do it. We're going to roll.
Let's do it. Okay. Why don't you roll? Show us the first one. Tell us about it.
Okay. So the first one we're going to go through right now. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Let's see. You seen it?
I see it.
All right. Okay. So we're going to roll through here real quick. This first listing we have is 64 Cross Creek. So we're starting out with a great property that can be used as a short-term rental, and it's a great buy-in. So it's listed at 350,000.
And as I understand it, we're going to start with the lowest price property first and then keep going up, right? So people can see the examples of the lower price range. What's my return if I don't have that much down payment? And if I really want to go big, we're going to finish with a big one, right?
Yes, we're going to finish with a big one. So this is a great starter property for somebody. They just completely remodeled it. It is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but totally updated. They gutted this thing down and it's beautiful. Walk to the beach. So you're right down walking to the beach access. There is a community pool. And the best part about this is, so you see the beautiful emerald water right there. So you walk out of here.
That's how close to the beach we are.
That is how close to the beach it is.
So 2 blocks,
only 350,000, and we're projecting here to do about 40,000.
We have a special guest joining us.
Oh, is Joel making it finally? Oh,
hello.
Right on time, brother.
Joel, for gracing us with your
Yay, I'm here.
We changed the whole show, so you just have to listen and keep up. Keep going, Whitney.
Okay, so like I said, this is 64 Cross Creek. We're projecting to do about 40,000 annually here. And what that means, because I know a lot of you are like 40, what? 40,000 annually is the gross revenue that it's projecting to make in rental profit for the year. So with that being said, when it comes to properties, having above what we call a 10% ROI, which is based upon the purchase price. So at 40,000, we are above that threshold with the price at 350,000. So this is
we're looking at that's gross revenue before any expenses, right?
Correct.
So it's a little bit different for those of you that are seasoned investors that are watching this. When we look at cap rate, we're looking at NOI versus purchase price. This is gross revenue versus purchase price. So the numbers are going to be a little bit higher.
Yes.
Cool.
So, so we're rolling with this one. Did you want to show kind of your breakdown on your end on this one?
Yeah, I'll do that. We'll pause your screen share and we'll switch over to mine, which we're going to just confirm some numbers. So what we got here is you said 40,000. So I broke that down, divided by 12 monthly. We're looking at 33333. We are projecting, I'm just using the estimate that MBS Highway bakes in here of 4.69 annual rent increases, even though the national average rent renewal is 8% higher. And we're not doing average annual vacancy because with short-term rentals, correct me if I'm wrong, Whitney, the gross revenue already accounts for vacancy. It's already, so the vacancy is irrelevant because the number is the number, right? So that's why we don't have any vacancy in here. And you can see the cash flow doesn't look great at first glance, but there's some reasons for that. And if we go through it, of course, we've got the purchase price of the property. The association fee, is this correct? $250 a month condo fee, right? And you get access to that pool with that, so it's not for nothing. But we've got some kind of manipulatable numbers in here. And what I mean by that is, of course, we're projecting for some home maintenance and we're projecting for a property management fee, which you as an investor could take it or leave it. So even though we're talking about this Cross Creek property specifically, I feel like we should pause here and talk about a couple different fundamentals. So first of all, when we look at initial cost and we look at home maintenance, one of the differences in purchasing an Airbnb versus a rental property is I'm responsible for furnishing this place, right? So am I gonna have to spend a bunch of money on this Cross Creek property buying furniture for that 1-bedroom apartment?
So this
Condo,
one,
2-bedroom condo, excuse me.
this is a 1-bedroom, 1 bath. So this one, yes, just because they completely remodeled. So you will have to furnish this property, but most properties that are sold and are sold with bookings come with everything. So that's something to consider when you're looking at different properties and the price and what they're projecting. Do they currently have rents? Is it currently being rented? And the fact that most of them will come with everything down to the dishes and the silverware. So when you're looking at a property, it is very, very normal for properties sold here in Florida to come with everything down to linens, dishes, silverware, pots, pans, beach chairs. I know that sounds weird to most other markets, but here in
we're
Florida,
learning. Yeah, that's
most
different.
properties here in Florida are sold fully furnished.
That's incredible. So that's another thing that we have to pay attention to, because as we mentioned, I just bought a property that I'm turning into an Airbnb, which is different than buying an existing Airbnb. So I'm having to furnish that one in St. Louis, but you're saying it's more common in the Destin area that the property was already an Airbnb. And so it's coming with the furniture and the fixins.
Absolutely.
So this one doesn't, but the rest of them do. Okay. So I'm going to add, do you think it's fair to say $5,000 in furniture cost furnishing this place?
It depends. I mean, if you're really savvy and searching for different, this is only a 1-bedroom property. You could potentially do it for less, but I would say 5 is probably a good number to go with.
So I just spent 5 on a 2-1 in St. Louis furnishing it. So let's say if this is just a 1-1, let's call it 3,500.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good number.
Okay, cool. And home maintenance, Joel, maybe this is a good question for you since you own an Airbnb. Forget the management fees, that's a separate thing. But in terms of replacing said furniture, stuff breaking, what's a good number to kind of guess for a small property like this? What's maintenance going to run us? Is this 150-ish? Is that make sense on a monthly basis? Is it not that common? What do you think?
So I would probably go a little higher.
Okay.
Than that.
200?
I'd say probably 300.
300.
To be conservative. Yeah. And my property is different than a condo. So it's hard to really gauge without really having the numbers in front of me. And I should have been more prepared, but I think 250 is probably a good number if you want to go to 250.
Yeah, your property is a little bit fancy.
Joel's
well, it's got a pool.
That
makes a difference with all the.
This is also, like Joel mentioned, this is a condo. So when it comes to condos, you're responsible for windows in the exterior.
I'm lowering it to 200 because you're right, it's a condo.
Yeah.
The exterior maintenance on condos. So I don't know if many people know about condos, but the exterior maintenance on condos is held by the association. That is why you pay the association dues. So even also when it comes to insurance. So when you're looking at a property and they have HOA fees for condos, you're going to see that they're higher, but they're higher because you're only obtaining insurance for the windows in. And they're actually holding the main association insurance for the property. So something else. Tidbit.
Cool. All right, let's dig into the financing, because this one at face value here, given the rent that we have and some of the other assumptions that we've made, we're not cash flowing a whole lot in this one, but there's a big reason why. And it's because we've got a pretty substantial number baked in here for property management fee. Now, those that are used to managing long-term rentals, 21% management fee sounds insane. So what are the typical short-term management fees, and what should we estimate for this one?
So it ranges depending on what they offer. But most management companies charge between 18% all the way up to 28%, but different ones offer different things. So the ones that are leaning towards the higher percentage are covering cleanings and maintenance and not charging additional for those things, right? And then ones that are on the lower side, some of them actually still do offer a lot in the different maintenance, but I would say 20% is an average. I'd say I see a lot more of the 20% management fee. Now, that being said, I also do have several clients that self-manage. Now, obviously, this is not for people that can't, work an app and know when people are checking in and checking out, but there is options of companies that offer in our area self-management programs where basically you sign up, you handle your bookings. So you make your VRBO and Airbnb account, but you sign up for them for the cleaning and maintenance. So basically you're paying them on a monthly basis to have their cleaning service and their maintenance. So it is a great option for a smaller property like this. To up your revenue if you're capable of basically just taking some photos, putting it in Airbnb and managing and letting your self-management company know when the check-ins and check-outs are.
So that's a really good point, actually. So what you're talking about is the difference between hiring a full service management company versus self-managing and then outsourcing for the things that you need yourself,
Absolutely.
right? Sort of subcontracting the cleaning, subcontracting partial management. That's a good way to save money, right? So if we look at, let me share this again. If we look at the numbers as it stands with not a whole lot of cash flow, and if you've been watching these episodes, you know that initial year one cash flow is not everything. You've got depreciation, and Joel, pop quiz, what are the 4 ways people make money off investment properties?
They give their money away. They have lots of fun. No, I'm just kidding. Appreciation, cash flow, amortization with paying down the principal. And then the last thing is my favorite, the tax and depreciation benefits.
Exactly. So this is just one number. Don't fall in love with that one number. The one thing this program doesn't account for is the depreciation, which is the tax benefit, and consult your CPA, but sometimes that's the biggest win of them all. So this accounts for the other 3. And even at minuscule year one cash flow, right, your payment stays the same, or you refinance and it make it lower. And over years, you can see your cash on cash return going up. And over 10 years, 153,000 in appreciation, 40 grand in amortization, and you look up and you've profited $227,000 off of this $350,000 property over 10 years, which is an average of 15.1% annual return. Now let's go and screw some crap up. That was the edited version of what I wanted to say. What if you do self-manage this and outsource? And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the management fee to 0. Let's say this is your first property. You want to be more hands-on and you want to pump up your return a little bit, at least initially, until rates go down and you can refinance. And I'm going to increase the monthly maintenance to $400 to include outsourcing some cleaning, let's say. Look what happens to the numbers then. All of a sudden, you're recouping $500 in initial cash flow a month. Over 10 years, it grows to $156,000 cumulatively. And your net profit with a 17.9, almost 18% return is over $300,000 over 10 years. And that doesn't include any of the tax benefits or tax savings. So that pretty good for the cheap property. So if anybody is interested in that one, reach out to us.
Great starter. It's
We'll
a
make
great.
it happen, yeah.
What's that address again?
It is 64 Cross Creek.
And
it
that's
is
Miramar Beach.
well, Miramar Beach.
Cool.
All right, we gotta move. Let's go. What's the next one? We've talked about all the fundamentals. Now let's just talk about the next property.
Okay, so let me screen share.
Do your thing. Are we going to Scenic Golf number 25?
Yes, we are.
All right. All right.
Hey, Mike, I'm sorry.
That's-
As we're doing that shift to the next one, what appreciation number did you use for your calculations on?
Good question. I am using a minuscule historical average appreciation of 4.58%. So pretty conservative given what we've seen over the last few years, but probably pretty accurate when we're projecting the next 10 years.
I did a quick search in the last 12 months, 21 and 22, it appreciated, and that city appreciated 16%.
Yeah, and that's something we didn't get to, Whitney, but maybe we can just digress for just a second. That area is not like every area in the country, right? Like it's not growing at the same rate as St. Louis, for example. Tell me a little bit about that.
This area for sure is still being discovered, right? So
Yeah.
it still has room to grow, even though obviously we've seen a big jump in prices in our area. We are still at an average low in comparison to a lot of beach towns that I think our beaches are prettier than.
Yeah.
So, I still think there's plenty of room to grow when it comes to price points here, especially in the Miramar Beach area, because you're getting a good price still in Miramar Beach and evaluation to what they're generating in rental income.
This is where I need to take a step back and give our guest a big shout out real quick. So Whitney has one of the best minds that I've ever seen for recognizing opportunity. And so when she shows property here that's available, know that it's coming from somebody who knows how to vet out and see a good business opportunity. And so that's one of the reasons that we've always got along. And Joel and I, obviously we have the branch with Sam and Jesse down in this area. Joel owns the home there. There's a reason that we've invested ourselves in this area. And a lot of it has been with your guidance. And a lot of it is because we see that even though we've appreciated so much in the last 5 years, it's possible that we're still buying low in this area at this time, which is wild.
If you're looking at the data, so we just had Q1 market reports come through. I actually did a specialized one for the Crystal Beach Scenic 98 area, and the numbers are good.
Why don't you shout out your email real quick in case anybody's interested in getting that information, they can reach out to you.
If anyone would like the Q1 market report for the Crystal Beach area, which is this beautiful Scenic 98 that I really specialize in, send me an email. It's at Whitney, the WHITNEY at scenicSIR.com. So Whitney at scenicSIR.com.
All right, I keep digressing. Back to the properties. Come on, what realistic?
Okay.
Let's go.
I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so we are moving to 304 Scenic Golf Drive, Unit 25. This is a townhouse. So the best part about this conventional lending, it is even VA approved. So any of my military people out there, this could be a great one for you. It is a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1152 square feet. We are at projections here at 52,000 annually.
52,000 annually. Woo.
52,000 annual income.
Right.
Walk to several close beach accesses. It has a great little back screened in area, nicely updated. It's a great property and it is listed at 525,000. So that being said, we are at a good community pool. We're at a good price point for the ROI.
And then again, that's how close we are to the beach.
That is how close we are. So you are here, beach access right down the way. A lot of properties, and I don't know if I mentioned this, a lot of properties that I'm showing you here on Scenic 98, this is a biking, walking, golf cart area.
Okay.
So any of those aspects that you add to your rental, you can also charge your renters an additional price for. So if you have a golf cart, you can charge them, a weekly rate to rent your golf cart. If you have electric bikes, that's kind of the new hit nowadays. You can charge them to rent those and, or, still short walk down to the beautiful Emerald Coast.
Beautiful. All right. So you said pool, which tells me there's an association fee. Did I get that right at 350? Did I see that right?
Yes.
Okay, so punching in the other numbers, 4,333, that's 52,000 divided by 12. Again, same assumptions. We're going to go quickly here. One thing that we didn't highlight before is the down payment requirements, right? So we are primarily talking purchasing a second home or an investment property, which is going to be a conversation with a 10% down payment, 15% down payment, 20% down payment, or 25% down payment. Second home, 10% is available if you do plan on occupying this a portion of the year. I don't think there's a strict guideline on a portion of the year, but we typically say about if you're planning on being there, twice a year and you're going to stay there, it could be a second home if you don't already own investment properties in the area, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're doing investment property, it's 15, 20, or 25% down, depending on the interest rate. So I'm projecting all of these with 20% down payments, just so you guys know the assumptions. And with all of that input, property management, we can look at it with or without. So if we're looking at it without property management, we're looking at about $500 a month, 184 grand over 10 years. And appreciation, this is a bigger property, more appreciation, more amortization. And again, these initial numbers are at current interest rates. If you bought this as a second home, and all of the economists that are predicting lower rates next year, and most of us who watch MBS Highway follow Dave Stevens, it's not just those guys that are predicting lower rates. Fannie Mae themselves and the MBA themselves are predicting rates in the 4s next year. Not my prediction, their prediction. So you could end up improving your cash flow a year from now by refinancing it while property values are going up and while rents are going up, even short-term rents. So this is it's not worst case scenario because crazy stuff happens, but it's not best case scenario either. You could exceed these numbers, and we're still talking about $400,000 in profit for this property over the next 10 years, not including potential tax savings if you have income coming in that you can write off against. So just fantastic numbers. And you say, okay, well, what if I need to pay somebody to manage it? Okay, we can start with sort of a not a full service management company who's charging you 15%. That's going to take, because you're making so much, 15% is going to take your initial monthly cash flow negative, but then you make it up over time or potentially with refinancing. This probably is not one where you're going to want to pay full service management at, let's say, 22%. And is this one furnished?
This comes fully furnished down
So
to
we don't need to buy furniture. So if we look at that, we actually have negative cash flow for the first year. We make half of it back up over time, and our profit with management drops to only $268,000 in profit over 10 years. So looking at this one, this is one where just honestly, I don't want to put a down payment and bleed $450 a month up front. So this is probably one where I would do it if I was considering self-managing, but I probably wouldn't do this one if I was going to pay for management. Is that fair?
Fair.
Joel?
Sorry, my headset just stopped working.
Okay. Well, if you buy this property, you can afford a new headset. All right. Anyway, moving on. All right, Whitney, what's the...
All right. My next
Well,
one.
Can we just hold on for 1 second? So as you kind of toggle the different levers you can pull in terms of property management fees and also tweaking rents, because rents, we're using projections, and I ran AirDNA on that property and it showed 75,000 as a ballpark. And again, they're just projections. I know for my property personally, 2023 quote unquote was supposed to be kind of an off year compared to 2022, which is the greatest year of all time. But the rents per night have all increased across the board, and we're still booked. Like, rents have only been going up. And as inflation continues to be here, I don't see that changing. So I feel like we're airing.
Yeah. So Whitney's giving us projections that in some of these properties are based off of what they've done historically, right? Baked in every short-term rental projection is that occupancy rate or vacancy rate, right? Two sides of the same coin. And so you can make a big impact on your annual revenue by increasing your occupancy rates, right? Having a more attractive property that's better managed versus a less attractive property that's poorly managed. By increasing your credibility on Airbnb, for example, your rental can be ranked higher and you can increase. So there are things you can do. You don't have to accept, to Joel's point, you don't have to accept these annual revenue numbers because they are projections and you can definitely exceed those projections. And to Joel's point, if the projection is 52 and you do 70, because instead of a 60% occupancy, you run an 80% occupancy, you can blow these numbers out of the water. But that's where
the numbers I give are always on the lower side. I don't ever like to send or project high. I like to give on the lower side. Now, would I say properties in this area, if you add the right touches, you leave bottles of wine for your people when they check in and check out, just those little things, they're going to leave you reviews and they're going to rebook. That's the thing about our area, is that once people come and they like where they stayed, most of them are rebooking for the following year as they're checking out.
Just so everybody knows, when I stayed at Joel's, I had to buy my own wine. There was not a mint on my pillow. There was no wine for me. I feel
sorry.
You got to step it up.
All right, Whitney, go ahead. Let's get the next one. Let's go.
Okay.
Well, right. I'm sorry. One last thing. I think
while she's pulling it up, keep talking. Yeah.
One of the things I think, cash flow, not cash flow, having the right expectations going into this, I think is just so important to have, to be talking about. And, what would you say expectations are for most of your clients that you're talking to about this stuff, Whitney, in terms of cash flowing, not cash flowing, appreciation, using it personally throughout the year, which is going to affect numbers? I mean, what's the typical conversation like?
So the typical conversation is always, what are you trying to gain out of this property? And I get a mix of answers. So sometimes they're like, I need it to break even. I want it to break even so that I can come and vacation when I want, and it's free of charge for me. But yet I have renters that come in and are paying for my property as it grows in value. I also have ones that are like, they want to see certain numbers because they're actually possibly 1031 exchanging, which we can get into something like that at a different time. But, always when you start with one property, you can actually sell that investment property. The money that you gain out of that property, you can turn and flip into a bigger, better property. Those people really want to see some numbers. They want to see some net ROI numbers. And I always work that through with them to show them, this property will net this amount. So there is a mix. And then there are some that understand that, I may not be buying into the lower so that I can turn, and I don't have the money to put down to get that ROI where I want. I'm okay with paying a little per month on this property that I now own, that I know is saving me in taxes. I know is providing me with a property that my family and I can enjoy. And I know that I'm growing my equity, every year in appreciation. So there's a mix. Every buyer is different. And any buyer that comes to me, I work with that buyer and the needs that they're looking for and find them the property that does what they're looking for.
That's a good point. And I made the comment earlier, which I'm going to retract now, that negative $444 number was a monthly bleed. And it is, right? Because the revenue that I'm getting is potentially less than what I'm paying. But at the end of the year, when I do my taxes, assuming that I made any money as a W-2 mortgage professional in 2023, by the time I write off the depreciation, not even the real loss, the depreciation, let alone the real loss, I'm more than recouping that $444 a month, which is what, $5,000. I'm more than recouping that $5,000 in tax savings. So it's not a real cash flow deficit annually like it is monthly, if that makes sense. But absolutely. You are showing us a fantastic backyard. That pool is gorgeous. Tell us about this one.
All right, so we're moving on up. We're moving up a little bit in prices.
We sure are. Okay.
But this one is a money maker. So if you are looking for that property, this is a showstopper. So this is 88 Pompano Street. It's in our beautiful Crystal Beach area. It is a 8-bedroom, 9.5 bathroom, and it is listed for $3.875. It is projected to do over $300,000 a year with already on the books. So that means, when I mean on the books, that is some lingo that I might want to throw out to you, means that that is accounted for. So
already booked for the year.
Already booked. It is already, as purchasing this property, you have that amount on the books ready to transfer to you.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And this one does come.
Takes a lot of risk out of the equation, right?
It does. It does.
And this one's fully furnished?
This comes fully furnished.
So it's
down-
done and there are already bookings.
Done bookings. This is a transfer and start making money.
Okay.
Elevator, game area. I mean, it is equipped with everything that you can think, want to enjoy on our beautiful Emerald Coast.
This is freaking incredible. So obviously the drawback for most people that are
That's the
looking.
beach access. So you're just down from beach access. This is a dream vacay spot. Can't get much better than this.
So if you're in New York and, or California, and price ranges are way different than in the Midwest or even in Florida, maybe even that property on the beach in this specific area, what do you think that would go for?
You're talking about in what, the Hamptons?
No, I'm just saying like that, this property, if you put it, 2 blocks to the beach, what would the price be at that if it was actually on the water with
On
the
beach,
views?
It was
Yeah.
it was actually
Yeah.
on
Millions?
Yeah.
10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
actually
that
on
2
the,
block walk is worth $6 million.
it is that, hey, that sugar white sand, it
Yeah.
is a hot commodity. And a lot of people don't know this about Scenic 98, but a lot of properties are not located on the beach side. It is one of the few and in between spots of the areas that I work where a lot of the developments are on the opposite side, which is called Scenic 98. They're actually all on the south side. So there is some areas and spots where the beach doesn't have anything in front of it and on it. So it's kind of
That's
special.
awesome.
Yeah. So there's not many properties on the beach in this area is kind of what I'm getting at.
So the drawback for everybody watching is obvious, right? Like if I need 20% down of $4 million, that's 800 grand. So my baby boy's home. So if you have $800,000 to put as a down payment, this is going to be an instant moneymaker for you when we go over the numbers here. If you don't, that doesn't necessarily put you out of the game. And this is something we don't have time to dig into today. But there's a rabbit hole we can go down with syndication and with group investing, sometimes called tribe investing, made popular by the program TribeVest, where you can basically pool money together with friends, family, or other investors in your group and go in together on something like this, sort of like a profitable timeshare on steroids, if you will. So that is an option if you're thinking, well, God, when am I going to ever have $800,000? Doesn't necessarily have to be $800,000 of your own money if you're watching. But there are people out there with, as Whitney mentioned, $1 million worth of 1031 exchange money that they need to do something with. This is a really good something. So let's take a look at the numbers real quick. So Whitney said over $300,000. I put, actually the property, this software came up with $28,000 a month and a higher annual rent increase on a property this size. Because again, if you're using this as an Airbnb, this is probably a group of people staying here, not just one person writing the check, right? Which can end up making you more money. It is a cool $5,000 in cash flow a month, 1.6 million cumulatively. I didn't see an association fee. It doesn't look like there's a condo fee, anything like that, because it's a freestanding on its own. I pumped up the home maintenance. This is with no management fee. This is managing it yourself. Of course, if you want to put a management fee in there, it's going to dramatically change the numbers, and you're going to be offsetting your stay versus making a profit if you're paying for full management. If you're doing some sort of hybrid management, you can still cash flow and profit. But if we're looking at it without a management fee and a higher monthly maintenance.
Yeah, I would probably use 1,000 on that size of a house with a pool.
Oh,
1,000 a month for maintenance.
that's a good point. All right, so $1,000 a month in management. And even let's say you have another, let's say we're going to outsource the cleaning. What's a cleaning fee per stay for a house that size?
Normally that is charged to the guest itself. I don't know.
That's right, huh?
Yeah.
So the guest is actually paying for the cleaning, so I don't even need to add that.
Yeah.
Normally
So-
that is charged separately. So there isn't, when you think of it, when you book a nightly rate for a property, especially a home, there's always a cleaning fee attached at the end.
Yeah.
To be honest, a house this size, I would think probably 500 cleaning fee, roughly, maybe more.
Somewhere in that
Maybe
range, yeah.
500.
Damn. Okay. Okay, so how does $4 million in profit sound? So more than the price of the house in profit in the first 10 years. Again, not including depreciation or any sort of tax savings or benefits. That's on the high side in terms of what you're going to be paying in property management. If you pay more for property management, obviously it cuts down the profits. Okay. So I think, man, we covered a lot. We covered a lot of the fundamentals of short-term rentals. We covered a lot of fundamentals of why this area is so amazing. We saw a $300,000 property and a over $3 million property. We have covered a lot of ground in our 40 minutes together. Let's end with the eye candy. And I'm not even going to run the numbers. This is just eye candy. Whitney brought us a special treat. So Whitney, take it.
Oh, wow.
Right. So this is a Scenic Sotheby's listing. It is 10 Holtz in the beautiful Grayton Beach area. This is a special property with the fact that it is pretty historical. It used to be the Washaway Inn, as it was known.
Well, I was gonna say, it looks like a hotel.
Yeah, it was
That's one
rebuilt.
house.
Yes, it is one house. It is a whopping 7 bedrooms, 8.5 bathrooms, 5624 square feet. It is spectacular. You are having views of one of the most beautiful beaches on the
You're on the beach.
Basically, yes, you are basically on the beach. I mean, it is a stunner. It is absolutely gorgeous. This is also historically known to have housed some of Al Capone's men back in the 1920s during the phase of transporting liquor.
This is where he got syphilis.
Jesus.
Isn't that how he died?
It is spectacular. And I think the history of the property, I mean, if you see this one, the photos don't even do.
Holy cow.
Justice.
Yeah, it's right on the beach. Wow.
It is spectacular. And this is Grayton Beach. And if most people don't know Grayton Beach, it is known and special because it is
That's
where
beautiful.
the lake meets the ocean. So when you go to Grayton Beach, you do not only get to enjoy the Gulf, but you get to enjoy the lake at the same time. So it is spectacular. The pool, the way it has these lookout clear glass windows. You walk to some of the best restaurants, Red Bar, the famous Red Bar, Chiringo's, right out from the property. I want to show you this really cool downstairs bar game room area. Definitely a fun hangout, iconic property. Like I said, it's listed for $9.295 million, but this one is projecting to do $725,000 a year.
$725,000 a year.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay, so how many people do we need to pull together? Like 7,400 people to pull that down payment together? How
Only a cool 1.86 million. So, plus closing costs, let's call it $2 million that you need to put together here in order to take this one down.
And you can see here, I don't know if you can kind of see from this photo, this is where the lake meets the Gulf, and it is spectacular. And it is also one of the only drivable beaches in our area. So you can actually drive on the beach, on this beach. It's pretty fun.
So Whitney, that was one of the cool things, I didn't know this area until 2021, right? And then I met you along the way, and then we bought a house together and blah, 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 blah. And when we came in town, you graciously spent some time with us and drove us down 30A, and we took time and we actually drove onto that little walkway or the standway to get from the street to the actual beach, and it was drivable. Like I remember that very vividly. So thank you for that out loud. And I guess maybe you can't do that for everybody, but I appreciate it. I do want to say from like having that runway, right? Not everybody's going to be able to purchase a $3.8 million property, right? Maybe ever in their lifetime, right? But there are people out there that, hey, maybe in 20 years, 10 years, right? Maybe it becomes a reality. And for me personally, the tax side of things, the accelerated depreciation, cost segregation was this eye-opening moment of like, holy,
such a game changer,
son of a biscuit. Like a high waging earner, you name the profession, lawyer, doctor, whoever else that comes to mind. These types of properties are a tool to be able to not only minimize, but potentially even eliminate the taxable income from your W-2 job if you do things in a certain way and you scale over time and you've got the portfolio built in the right way. And if you know the formula, and there's tax professionals out there that we can refer out that can explain the stuff better than we can ever even dream of. But having that why, like, okay, well, why do I want to work hard at my job? Why do I want to keep pushing to be able to do X, Y, Z to get better at my job and make more money? And it's not all about money, but it's like to be able to have a property like that for your family, I think is pretty powerful. If you know somebody that's a high wage earner that, was looking for tax deductions, this is the kind of stuff that people are doing. These are the reasons why people buy in Florida, these big properties that obviously cash flow well, but there's other pieces of the puzzle that are going to be impactful and powerful from just the overall planning standpoint. I wanted to throw it out there because this is what kind of pulls it all full circle, at least for me, is the tax side of things.
Absolutely. And not even just that. So obviously we ended with the $9 million property, but it all starts with the first one. So, I have worked with clients that started with the $300,000 property, held for 2 years. It turned into that $500,000 property. They took that 200,000, turned it into the $1 million property. Then you take that $1 million property, you hold on it for a few years, then you turn it into the 1.5 million. You just keep, you can keep turning. You can keep turning, or you can also hold and add. So, I know Joel is pretty happy with, I'm sure, where his property is valued at now from when we purchased it. How much equity do we think we got in there now, Joel, since you purchased, right?
Over 50%.
Over 50% since he purchased. And that was what,
21.
So,
You just bought that in 21?
Yes.
I feel like you've owned that forever.
It feels that way, right?
We under contract in January 21. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, it all starts with the first property. So yes, maybe the 9 million one isn't in reach for most at this moment. It is fun and handy.
And I love this, and I love doing this because the real listings part, like this is real, like what Whitney showed is really available today. And so, I'm sitting here in California, Joel's in St. Louis, Whitney's in Florida. We've got the entire country covered on this small Zoom Facebook Live meeting today. And there are people that are sitting on 1031 money that need a place to put it and are going to see this and think, I never thought of that. I didn't know anything about Destin. Short-term rentals scared me, or I didn't understand them, or I didn't think they were for me. This is, I'm hoping this opens people's eyes. I guess that's what I'm saying. So this was a lot of fun. We went pretty long, but we covered a lot. 4 properties. We found out where Al Capone was hiding from the feds. Cash flow, depreciation, amortization. Cash flow, depreciation, amortization. What am I forgetting?
Joel.
You said appreciation.
Cash flow, appreciation, amortization, depreciation. In terms of making money off of rental properties.
I feel like on this episode though, you have to throw the 5th one in there, and that's just having a blast and fun. Like to be able to have something that you can also, cash flow, property, but also use it as well. Like the ones that we were, going over, the very first one we did was Zoogless Swale, was like a 2-bed, 1-bath home in South City. Like that's cool, and it's fun to find a good deal, but like you're not going to have fun because it's going to be rented out to somebody. Like this is one you can actually have fun with. And I think
you stay there yourself.
Yeah. So technically we're adding the 5th one. On this episode, we had 4 pillars and we brought in a 5th one. I don't know where we're going to put it. You guys can figure out where to put it, but
put it across the top.
Just fun.
Just fun. That is a great place to end.
But if it's on top of